Thank you, gentlemen, and I use that term loosely. I am joined now by Thomas Wasson, who is, he's our enterprise fleet expert.
Boom, trucking guy.
Author of Loaded and Rolling, host of Loaded and Rolling, freight extraordinaire is what we like to call you around here. Where's your hat, man?
We're not doing a hat today. We did a little short bit of haircut because it is, in fact, still like a heat wave going on.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty nasty out there, that's for sure. And what's on your mind today, man?
So, looking at some newsletter stuff, and whenever we're going through like summer doldrums, obviously there's exciting developments, but coming up, waiting for these quarterly earnings, seeing what these big carriers are doing. In the meantime, I'm spinning some yarns. And the first one was actually titled Poor Watson's Almanac, Understanding Hours of Service. And so when we're talking about that, a lot of folks, if you're in trucking, you'll say, well, obviously this is the first thing I learned, Thomas. Why are you talking about it? For most other people in the supply chain, they don't understand that drivers are literally racing against 3 clocks. You have...
You're talking to people who've been in for years don't know this.
Yeah, it's like Back to the Future, except the rig may not go up to 88 miles per hour. And so fundamentally, drivers are able to drive 11 hours, 14 hours on duty and 70 hours in a work week. The thing is, this is the only line of work where we encourage you to work 70 hours per week and to work 11 hours per day. So think about that for a second. So you want to be a successful driver, drive between 10 and 11 hours per day. And so, that's one thing that a lot of people don't get.
We give them 11 hours so they can get their 6.
And that's what it, yeah.
That's what it amounts
Ask
to.
MIT right now, that's where we're like hovering around 6. And so that is a great point, because the problem that people forget about is we buy capacity. We've bought a truck for this load. All right, think about it now. The truck has the load, whatever happens.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We're not thinking about what happens when the driver can't drive the most hours, and we're not thinking about our own inefficiencies from a shipper, customer, broker standpoint. And that adds up to drivers' paychecks as well as trucking companies' bottom line. The goal is to not stop people. And the problem is, for most of the supply chain, it's so competitive that if you tell a shipper, hey, I hate the fact that you take 4 hours to load me every single day, the shipper will go, hey, I just found someone for 5 cents cheaper. So it does put you in a weird spot.
It does. And then, the shipper wonders why, your service level isn't 100%.
Completely, and they wonder why when we talk about tender rejections, we'll see based on commodity as well, rejection levels can alternate. I know when I was a load planner, I could either pick up a load of tires that may be floor loaded or pick up a load of retail goods that may be preloaded. And I'm going to go with the fastest option every single time, much to the detriment of the tire people. But, at the same time, this kind of moves into a topic where fleets spend millions of dollars a year on trying to utilize these hours. I mean, this is an operational science, folks, and I don't think a lot of people in the supply chain understand how much effort goes into just trying to, from hundreds or thousands of loads each week, save even 15 minutes on average of dwell or wasted time.
Yeah, well, exactly. You got to keep the wheels rolling with revenue on the truck or trailer. Right?
Exactly.
And attached to a truck, right? A bobtail is not making you money.
No, it's spending you money, and then you have to find the trailer. And
yes.
That kind of rolls into a second topic. So we understand how hours and drivers are going against the clock, literally racing against it. But, we've heard a lot about high levels of inventory. Target, big box retailers, Walmart. And so this brings up another fun, interesting story I had to deal with, which is customers will use your trailers as free storage. Now, this always happens. It's like a trucking Cain and Abel situation, but, whenever inventories get higher, distribution centers have less space, and a clever customer realizes it's only $50 sometimes, if they even get charged for it, to simply have those extra 40 trailers still loaded. And it's okay for them because, as we see with tender volume levels and the index going down, they're shipping less. And so this is a 1-2 punch for trucking companies, because you're supposed to drop a bunch of trailers at a customer to save time. We're talking, instead of 2 hours, maybe 45 minutes to pick up your load, drop your trailer, get a new one.
Right.
And then what happens when you decide that, oh, not only are my volumes going down, but I have no more equipment. I've dropped my trailer at your facility, but now they're all still loaded. Now I have to send a driver on the equivalent of wild goose chase to 3 or 4 different locations in a market, driving through traffic, bobtail, by the way, because they need a trailer.
Yeah.
And then attempting to hopefully find one. So this is something that I think that for many people, they don't understand. On the surface level, we don't get, but go 10, 15 feet down, you can see there's a lot of chaos.
There's a lot of chaos in there. It is not as easy as just moving a shipment from A to B, right? And many people think that it is, but it's incredibly complicated, and we don't make it that way. It is that complicated when you have all of those different parties in there, and if all those parties don't understand what their role is in making it more efficient, we have what we have right now.
Yeah,
right? And that's when we talk about visibility, transparency, and collaboration, right? Is everybody working together through visibility to see just exactly what does our little piece, how does it impact everybody else in the supply chain? And when we can connect those together, now we have an efficient system. Right?
And that's the hard part, because the supply chain, just like ask any economist, ask Anthony, it's all about incentives. And the supply chain right now is incentivized to pass its problems off to other people. And so the big manufacturer has the delays. Now the distribution center doesn't know what to do. Distribution center has a few delays. Now the trucking company doesn't want to know what to do. And so whenever the trucking company doesn't know what to do, the driver has a situation where he doesn't have anything to haul. And so it's this cascading effect where you have the bullwhip effect on terms of inventory and orders, but when it messes up, it can often leave a situation where the end user, the trucker or the carrier, can have drastic swings in load balances. So my favorite quote was, trailers are like cigarettes in prison. You need to have them to get something done. And I literally said that as a load planner. You can quote me on that, ask some folks. But it's so important internally for a large trucking company or a carrier of any size that has a trailer pool to utilize the trailers, because I could literally take a market. We used to joke, by the way, you don't make money with one truck and one load. You make money by picking up two loads and convincing the second customer it will get there soon. That is how you utilize your assets. And without trailers, the facade crumbles. And then they quickly find out that there is no capacity because it's an equipment-related issue and not a trucking capacity-related one.
Yeah, it definitely is. Cinnabons are also good currency in prison as well, I've found.
Cinnabons?
Yeah.
Well, how do you transporting the Cinnabon and making sure it remains fresh while going through security?
It takes trailers, my friend. It absolutely does. We used to call it the 110-100 rule, right? And that is basically, and it can be used in many different ways. What you're doing now costs $1. Make sure it doesn't cost the next person 10. Because that will then cost 100 down the line, right? So be as efficient as possible and think about the next person down that line. Now, this was an LTL, but it applies to the entire transportation system. The other part of that 110-100 rule is really time, right? That one extra hour waiting at that DC can mean at least a day delay in service.
Completely, and you would know, so as a load planner, you would be at a large asset carrier. You would basically just be moving them point to point, and you handled your market. So come in, send out. First truck in, first truck out. But as a small carrier, that delay in time is like a grim reaper chasing upon you. Literally, as soon as you had a 4-hour delay on a delivery on a Monday, you know that by the time Friday happens, you can feel the pressure. The driver can too, because now you're delivering in the afternoon instead of the morning. We're 4 hours behind, by the way. Tuesday's screwed. It's now gone with the wind, as the words of Leonard Skinner. So Wednesday, I have to adjust my operational length of haul. Maybe I need to take a 750-mile load instead of a 500-mile load. I'm trying to beat the clock. Now I hit another delay because of a supply chain snarl. And so the driver can literally have differences and swings between $200 to $300 take-home pay per week, because all it takes is one part of the supply chain to say, oh, it's okay. I'm going to take that extra 4 hours to do it. The broker is going to pretend to be sad, but actually he's collecting about $50 per hour, and he's going to pay me $35 per hour in terms of detention. So he's making money. We used to joke in the brokerage, we pad our margins based on tow news, layovers, and sometimes the carrier would forget, so we just take it. And I get extra $250 on my load. So, that was actually things that happened. So the humor behind it is it's true. That's the other fun part. So
it's so much easier.
But, understanding that from all points of the partnership is carriers are like Top Gun. They have the need for speed. The utilization of a truck. You go to McDonald's, they tell you how many hamburgers are served. You go to a trucking company, we talk about how many revenue miles per truck. You have fewer hours equal fewer revenue miles, and then eventually not only the driver, but your upper management starts yelling at you. And the biggest challenge is telling people up parts of the supply chain that anything you can do to help out, you can also save money, because if you have a greatly run distribution center, you have a really nice commodity, a really good internal supply chain company, you can charge lower prices because you can tell them, I'm going to save you those extra 2 hours because I have my stuff together.
Yeah, shipper of choice.
Shipper of choice.
Becoming a shipper of choice will greatly help you in those bids, those RFPs, and getting carriers and quality carriers in there. When you're the desired shipper, you can command a better price.
And it's just hard for
You get
them
better
because
service.
sometimes the shipper doesn't even know their own internal processes.
That, and sometimes neither does the trucking company, which is a problem as well. Excellent stuff, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me today. Right now, I'm going to toss it over to Kaylee Carter-Nix and the headlines.